Hey everyone, my name is Junaid and I'm a graduate data analyst working for a financial services firm in central London, and in today's video I'll cover the 5 most used tools for data analysis. Starting with number 5 is R. R is a versatile programming language and environment that's specifically designed for statistical computing and data analysis. It has a comprehensive suite of tools and libraries to help you import, manipulate, visualize and analyze data from various different sources. Imagine you're a scientist who's studying climate change. You've got all these numbers and measurements from different places around the world and you need a way to make sense of them. That's where you could use a programming language like R. It'll help you to understand the data and numbers and reveal patterns that help you to understand that data further. But it's not just for scientists. Let's say you're a business. Let's say you're a business owner trying to figure out the best way to market your products. Now, using R, if you program it, you can analyze customer data to see what makes people tick. R also has a fairly strong visualization tools. You can turn spreadsheets into graphs and charts. It's almost like adding color to a black and white movie. Now, as is the case with any tool, there are limitations. Sometimes it can be a bit slow with really large data sets. It's slower than other languages like Python for loops and iterative processes where you have to do the same thing again and again. So in that case, you might need to get creative with how you use your system memory. I found it also has quite a steep learning curve. The syntax was fairly complex. To understand it fully, you might need to have some fundamentals of programming and statistical concepts. Number 4, SQL or structured query language. Good old SQL. Now, SQL is a tool I've started using much more recently. Imagine you're running an online store with thousands of customers and products. You've got all this data, sales records, customer information, inventory details, and you can't store these on an Excel spreadsheet because the volume of data is too large and Excel has limitations. So you would store this data in a data warehouse and you would access it using SQL. SQL acts as the key and allows you to query that database and return the required data. Now, what makes SQL even more useful is its ability to manipulate data. If you need to update a bunch of records, you can run an SSIS package and update all historical records accordingly. In my role, I have to run these packages because we need the most up-to-date financial information. And if there's a public body that holds company data, we'll warehouse their data in SQL because it's just easier to access, easy to manipulate rather than having to go through their whatever proprietary website. SQL is also used in specialized tools like I'm. I'm is a tool that lets you create a repository of information. So for me, I use it to store in bulk company annual reports, and what it does is it lets me query every single annual report in that repository through SQL, and that's super useful. Of course, SQL, not perfect. For one thing, it can be tricky to learn. I found that learning the basics and fundamentals is fairly straightforward, but then when you get to see some of the queries that some of the more technical people in the team, they create, it's a whole nother level where I would have to export the data and manipulate it in a different tool. They can just manipulate everything within SQL using lines and lines of queries. And SQL is great for querying structured data in relational databases, but it's not always the best tool for analyzing unstructured or semi-structured data. Plus, there's a whole issue of scalability. SQL on its own can handle a lot of data, but there is always a limit. And as you get closer to that limit, as the volume of data increases, it starts to slow down quite a bit. But it's still an indispensable tool that I find I'm using more and more, and it's becoming more an integral part of my workflow. Number 3, Python. Let's talk about Python. And after I give you my reasoning for why I put it number 3, you can let me know whether you think I should have put it higher. We recently had a showcase where a Python specialist came in and demonstrated some of its capabilities, and we were genuinely stunned. Can you imagine that? I mean, a team of data analysts, and we were astounded by some of the things we could accomplish using Python. Now look, sure, we know all about the automation side of things. If you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that I was working on automating certain sections of a weekly monitoring publication, and that was done through Python using the pandas library. If you want me to make a video on how I did that automation, let me know down in the comments below and I'll make a video on that. Now, Python's main advantage is the vast ecosystem of libraries and packages that it has. NumPy, pandas for automation, matplotlib and seaborn for graphs and charts, TensorFlow for machine learning, and the list goes on. Ease of use, that's another plus point. Python's syntax is relatively easy to read and understand. It's also very versatile. It's not just a data analysis tool. It can be used on everything from web development to app creation to game development. So as a data analyst, when you learn Python, you're not only learning it for data analysis tasks, you're actually opening yourself up to a whole host of other realms where you can use your Python skills. Once you've mastered Python, you can apply that learning in so many different ways. Another thing I'm looking to use Python for, after understanding how useful it can be, is to take, let's say, 100,000 company filings through a database API, and that should make it much easier and cleaner to access specific information in bulk through all of those annual reports or filings or whatever, than having to manually comb through a data export. Python's like the Swiss Army knife of data analysis tools. Number 2, Power BI or Tableau. Power BI and Tableau, two very, very similar data visualization tools. Think of Power BI and Tableau as the data analyst's paintbrush. They let you take all of the data, the raw data, and create something worth looking at. I use Power BI, so I'm going to cover that, but most of this applies to Tableau as well. Now, since in finance, the Microsoft suite of applications is widely used, one of Power BI's strengths is its integration with all of Microsoft, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, SQL Server Studio. That's one of Power BI's strengths, and in all honesty, that's the only reason I put Power BI above Python, simply because of its integration with SQL Server Studio and Excel. Being able to import and export between everything without any issues or hitches is such a useful feature to have. It's got newer features like AI-powered insights and natural language querying, which I haven't actually had the chance to use, but these features just give you more innovative ways of analyzing data. Now, the drawback of such deep integration with the Microsoft suite of applications is that if an organization doesn't use Microsoft, for example, some companies who use the Apple ecosystem, macOS, and the Microsoft applications aren't optimized for macOS, so Power BI on an Apple desktop doesn't really have the same capabilities as it would on a Windows version. I don't really use Power BI that much, maybe on the odd occasion to present findings to a client or create a dashboard that the team can use as a reference point. I found that senior clients and stakeholders like it because if you present them with an interactive dashboard, they can see all the top level information and filter for parameters and variables that they see fit. And within the team, for example, there's a tracker board created in Power BI that covers consolidated net short positions for a group of companies that I have to update every week, but it's still a widely used tool and a must know for any data analyst. And finally, coming to number 1, did you expect anything else? It's Microsoft Excel. Excel cemented its legacy within the financial industry through years and years of familiarity. It's another application that integrates seamlessly with the other suite of Microsoft applications, and it just forms the baseline of what I do on a daily basis. Now you might be sitting there thinking, that's a pretty boring number 1. But if you've ever seen Excel as it's supposed to be used, as it's intended to be used, you and I probably use our mouse to go and click different things. I can guarantee you that's not how it's intended to be used. Excel really hit the nail on the head with the spreadsheet format. It makes it really easy to organize, manipulate, and analyze data. More importantly, in a structured and customizable manner. Now, whether you're performing basic calculations or using the functions or building complex mathematical and financial models, it'll have all the functions that you need to get the job done. It has a programming in the form of macros, which I've seen used in questionnaires. Modeling, it's still the primary tool used in investment banking, calculations, and financial models. Even me, if I need to do a quick and dirty forecast for a share price for a company that went bust to see what their share price would be today, I'll use Excel. Its familiarity is a huge plus point. I mean, it's been the primary business software since the mid-1990s. Now, I know it's not well suited for dealing with large data sets or performing complex analysis tasks, and it does have a reliance on manual data entry, which can introduce errors if you're not careful. Plus, the main pain point I deal with every single day is that Excel's performance can start to lag when you're doing really complex calculations or working with large sets of data. It always lags, but it's still the go-to tool for a lot of what I do. A lot of my clients are very happy to have their requests and information presented in Excel because they're so used to it. And for all those reasons, Excel is the number 1 tool for data analysts. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree with the list? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out some of my other videos if that's what you're looking for. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.